I met up with an old friend, Mark, for lunch. After almost a decade, we drifted apart, and I was happily dating someone new. But Mark had other plans. He insisted I should be dating him. When I politely refused, everything spiraled. He turned into a stalker, tried to accost me, and then brutally attacked my boyfriend in front of everyone at a birthday party. So tell me, were we wrong for how we handled it? My name is Chloe, and I'm 21. For about 10 years, Mark and I were connected. We went to the same primary school, shared mutual friends, and often found ourselves in the same social circles. It was never romantic on my end. I always saw him as just a friend, a familiar face in the crowd. Over the years, our close friendship faded. We graduated, went to different colleges, and honestly, I thought we'd both moved on with our lives, maintaining a casual, distant acquaintance. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I was happily in a committed relationship with my wonderful boyfriend, Ben. He's kind, supportive, and everything I could ever want. Out of the blue, I received a message from Mark. He said he had something very important to discuss, something that couldn't be talked about over text. My first thought was a mutual friend might be in trouble, or perhaps he needed advice. So, a bit hesitantly, I agreed to meet him for lunch.
We met at a local cafe. The initial conversation was light, catching up on surface-level things. I genuinely thought it was just two old friends reconnecting. But then, about halfway through the meal, Mark cleared his throat and suddenly changed the tone. He looked at me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. He launched into this incredibly awkward, almost rehearsed speech about why I should be dating him, not Ben. He started comparing himself to Ben, highlighting what he perceived as Ben's shortcomings and his own supposed strengths. He said things like, "Ben doesn't understand how I can be with him when he's always around waiting for me. I'm better for you, Chloe. I know you better. I know what you truly need." He even went as far as to subtly bring up his family's wealth, hinting that my life would be financially easier with him, unlike Ben, who's still building his career. I was genuinely taken aback. I tried to interrupt, to explain that I was happy, that Ben was a wonderful partner, but he just powered through, convinced he was making a compelling case. I tried to explain again, calmly but firmly, that I was happy with Ben, that I didn't want a romantic relationship with him, and that I valued our long-standing friendship, albeit a distant one now. But Mark wasn't listening. He completely ignored my boundaries. He started talking about his past girlfriends, how he expects them to be devoted and available, almost as if he was outlining the rules of our supposed relationship. He even implied that my naive nature meant I needed someone like him to guide me. It was incredibly uncomfortable, almost like he was trying to corner me into a commitment I absolutely did not want. I left that lunch feeling deeply unsettled. I thought and hoped that this would be the end of it. I truly believed Mark would get the hint after my very clear refusal. I was wrong. The incident sparked a quiet alarm in my mind, a subtle red flag I tried to dismiss as just an old friend being a bit misguided.
A few days later, the real escalation began. Ben and I were invited to a casual house party, a mutual friend's birthday celebration. It was the kind of gathering where everyone brings snacks, someone plays music, and the living room fills with laughter and chatter. I was excited, thinking it would be a fun, relaxed evening. We hadn't been out much recently, and I was looking forward to just unwinding. We arrived, met up with friends, and everything seemed perfectly normal. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him, Mark. He was standing alone in a corner, already there, and his eyes were fixed on me. My heart lurched. A wave of pure dread washed over me. I tried to pretend I hadn't seen him, tried to act normal, staying close to Ben and engaging in conversation with our friends, but his presence felt like a dark, suffocating cloud over the entire evening. I kept asking myself, why is he here? Did he follow me? How did he even get invited?
The paranoia was immediate and intense. He kept making eye contact, a strange, intense, almost possessive stare that made my skin crawl every time I felt it. It was clear to me then that he wasn't there for the party itself. He was there for me. This wasn't just a friendly encounter anymore. This was something darker, something profoundly obsessive and threatening. Every time I looked away, I could feel his gaze on my back, a constant, unsettling pressure. Later that night, as Ben and I were chatting and laughing with some friends, Mark made his move. He walked straight up to Ben, completely ignoring my presence for a moment, and extended his hand. "I'm Mark," he said in this overly polite, almost challenging tone. "You remember me, right? And you must be Chloe's boyfriend?" Ben, ever the gentleman, shook his hand, his expression calm, but I could feel the tension radiating off him. He's perceptive, and he clearly sensed the underlying aggression. My blood ran cold. I knew, in that instant, this wasn't going to end well. Mark then turned his full attention to me, his voice still low, almost a whisper, but it felt loaded with unspoken threats. "Chloe," he said, his eyes drilling into mine. "Can I borrow her for a second, Ben? I just want to talk to her, alone." Ben's hand instinctively went to my back, a protective gesture that grounded me. He told Mark, firmly but politely, that I wasn't going anywhere without him, and that if he wanted to talk, he could do it right there, with Ben present. Mark's jaw tightened. He glared at Ben, then back at me, a flicker of pure, unfiltered rage in his eyes. His face twisted. He wasn't taking no for an answer, and he wasn't leaving. Mark absolutely refused to back down. He persisted for what felt like an eternity, arguing loudly with Ben, trying to physically pull me away from him. At this point, Ben's patience, usually boundless, was clearly wearing thin. The host of the party, noticing the escalating argument and the uncomfortable silence that had fallen over the room, came rushing over to see what was happening. Mark then did something truly chilling. He turned back to Ben, his voice dropping to a menacing, guttural tone, almost a snarl, and hissed, "You have no idea who you're messing with. She belongs with me." The word "belongs" sent shivers down my spine. It wasn't a request, it was a declaration of ownership. Ben, who had been trying to maintain his composure, snapped. His voice was calm but laced with steel as he told Mark to leave, right now, or he would make him. Mark let out a bitter, mocking laugh. "Make me?" he sneered, his eyes still fixed on Ben with pure malice. Before Ben could even react to the challenge, Mark lunged. He didn't go for me, he went straight for Ben's face, a wild, uncontrolled punch aimed at his jaw. Everything happened so fast, the music died. Conversations instantly stopped. All eyes in the room, now wide with shock and fear, were on us. This wasn't just an argument anymore. This was a full-blown physical assault, completely unprovoked, and it was escalating into chaos. The host and several other people who had been watching in horror immediately intervened. They pulled Mark off Ben, who was already retaliating with a defensive punch of his own. The atmosphere was pure pandemonium. The host quickly called over some of the bigger, stronger guys from the party, essentially acting as improvised security. They quickly escorted Mark outside, shouting him down as he continued to resist, thrashing and yelling obscenities, mostly directed at Ben. The host, a very good friend of ours, quickly explained to everyone what had happened. There was no doubt in anyone's mind. Mark had completely lost it. He was out of control and dangerous. Ben was shaken. His lip was cut and bleeding, but thankfully it wasn't a serious injury. He was mostly furious, his face red with a mixture of anger and disbelief. I was utterly terrified, shaking uncontrollably, and profoundly embarrassed by the public spectacle. But above all, I was incredibly grateful for Ben's quick thinking and protection. He didn't hesitate to step in and defend me. As soon as the commotion died down, Ben insisted we leave immediately. We certainly weren't in any mood to enjoy the rest of the party. The next day, Saturday, was surreal. My mind was still reeling from the events. Then, out of the blue, a video of the entire incident arrived in my DMs. Someone had discreetly filmed Mark being forcibly taken away by security, and you could clearly hear people in the background laughing and gossiping. The person who sent it? It was one of Mark's ex-girlfriends. Her message was simple, chilling, and incredibly validating. He served him right. It was confirmation that Mark's behavior wasn't new, it wasn't an isolated incident, this was a pattern. That message, combined with the video, confirmed everything I had suspected and feared about Mark. This wasn't just about a misunderstanding or a fleeting romantic interest. This was a pattern of obsessive, controlling, and potentially violent behavior. The video was irrefutable proof. It showed the true extent of his delusion and unhinged aggression. It showed exactly how dangerous he truly was, and how close I came to something much worse. Ben and I knew we couldn't ignore this. We spoke extensively with the party host and other witnesses who saw everything. We realized this wasn't just a petty fight. It was a clear act of assault, harassment, and stalking. We understood that if we didn't take action, Mark would likely continue this pattern, potentially targeting me or someone else. We had to do something, not just for ourselves, but to potentially protect others from him. Since that terrifying night, it's been a period of uneasy calm, but we know it's probably temporary. We haven't heard from Mark directly, which is a small relief, but we're under no illusion that he's truly gone. We know he's definitely planning something. Ben, being a very fit guy, has taken extra security measures at his house. He's incredibly vigilant, always aware of his surroundings, and constantly checking in on me. We've also been proactive in informing our mutual friends and family about Mark's true, dangerous nature, and they've all been incredibly supportive, rallying around us. My sister and her husband, who I currently live with, have also installed security cameras outside our house, an absolute must, especially since there's a baby living with us now. We are taking every single precaution we can think of. Mark is now completely blocked from everything. My phone, all my social media accounts. Our mutual friends are actively helping us keep him out of our lives, reporting any attempts he makes to contact me or get information about me. It's not easy living with this constant underlying tension and the fear of what he might do next. But we feel significantly safer knowing we've taken concrete steps to protect ourselves. We desperately hope Mark will eventually give up and leave us alone, but we're prepared for anything he might try. This entire experience has been a terrifying wake-up call, shaking me to my core. But it has also been a profound testament to Ben's unwavering loyalty, his courage, and his absolute commitment to my safety. It has solidified our relationship, showing me the true meaning of partnership in the face of adversity. Looking back, I never truly knew Mark. The friend I thought I knew was just a convenient facade for someone deeply manipulative, entitled, and ultimately dangerously obsessive. This entire ordeal showed me the crucial importance of trusting your gut, of setting firm boundaries, and understanding that sometimes a polite refusal simply isn't enough to deter someone with a twisted, possessive sense of entitlement. So I'll ask you, in our situation, facing such an obsessed and potentially violent individual, what would you have done? Was Ben justified in defending himself the way he did? Or should we have handled it differently? What advice would you give us moving forward? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters here. This is Drama Docket, and the verdict is yours.